Welcome to ChessBase Magazine 155. The four top tournaments of this issue are the European Individual Championship in Legnica, which was won by Moisienko, the FIDE Grand Prix tournament in Thessaloniki, where Lenier Dominguez won, the Norway chess in different cities of Norway, which was won by Sergei Karyakin, and the second place was shared by Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. Motilyov annotated the crucial game Aronian-Karyakin from Stavanger. And how did Sergei Karyakin with black to move deal with the check? King e8, and black's king will always be safe, while his d-pawn will decide the issue in his favor. After e6, rook d6 frees the escape route for black's king, and black wins. And in the game, Aronian took the pawn, but after d2, black has won a piece, and black's attack is still, of course, continuing, while white's attack leads nowhere. The fourth tournament is the Tal Memorial in Moscow, which was won by Boris Gelfand, and second was Magnus Carlsen, this time alone. I, of course, again had to delete almost all the annotations due to the space limitations of the video format. Gelfand-Husman annotated the crucial game Nakamura-Gelfand. Hikaru was leading at this point in time, and Boris' Sieg was very important for his victory in the tournament. Black to move. Knight g4 weaves some kind of mating net. I like this very much in mating attack in the endgame with very reduced material. Of course, one joke. This is just a joke, but there are so many beautiful mates now that I just have to show a few of them. Of course, this would be met by, you guessed it, and knight d takes f5, bishop f3 wins, knight f2 mate is threatened, and if the knight is taken, then black just wins due to his extra piece. But the most beautiful mate, I think, is this one. Knight f2 mate is threatened, and now it's really beautiful with such reduced material. Usually this only happens in chess problems or studies. So Hikaru Nakamura tried to run away, but he cannot really escape. a4 would win as well, but knight c4 is absolutely fine, as the resulting pawn ending is an easy win. Black stops the d-pawn first, and then his outside passed a-pawn decides the day later. Okay. In the strategy column, Dorian Rogosenko deals with the bishop pair, and the game Anand Karana from the Tal Memorial was also annotated by Fabiano Caruana. This is the reason why I now directly jump to the strategy column. Black to move. What did Caruana play? And this is a typical strategy. f4. Black's pawns restrict white's minor pieces. This is the so-called Steinitzian restriction method. And then the bishop pair takes over, and Caruana won a model game later. This probably inspired Dorian Rogosenko for the theme of the column, and especially black's bishop, which has no counterpart, is extremely strong. It might be called the green bishop. I don't know if this will catch on. The bishop of the bishop pair, which has no counterpart. And this is also good that the pawns here are now on dark squares, so that the green bishop, they are not in the way of the green bishop. And later this bishop will also decide the issue in the rand game, rooks and opposite colored bishops. One further example from the strategy column, which I also like very much. This time Fabiano is on the wrong side. Fabiano Caruana against Hikaru Nakamura, black to move and win. At first it looks as if white's blockade on the light squares cannot be broken. But then you spot the undermining blow, g4 and h3, and it's game over. Because if the pawn is taken, then rook f8 followed by rook f4 wins a piece due to the pins. Sometimes the bishop are really amazingly strong. Yeah, this is also one of the favorite themes of mine. So study Dorian Rogosenko's strategy column. There are 12 opening surveys. Michael Marin looks at the Queen's Gambit with knight bd7 and bishop f4 in his survey, and he has also made a video on the Queen's Gambit with c takes d5, e takes d5 from black's point of view. Okay, 3 surveys I want to mention in more detail. Leonid Kritz looks at a way for white in this position if black plays the very original knight h5, and he thinks that white gets a slight advantage in the following line, and one game Rouse's Krockenberger shows that. White has a nice center, white has good squares for all his pieces, and Rouses went on to win a model game. Yeah, this is now the other bishop can come as well, and white simply must be slightly better in this position. Alexei Kuzmin looks at the way for black to deal with the Queen's Gambit. Yeah, Queen's Gambit accepted, and now some kind of real acceptance, just to try to keep the extra pawn. Of course, this doesn't succeed, because white can undermine the pawn chain, but black can harbor hopes to equalize here if he manages to get in c5. And in the game Aronian Sweetler from the FIDE Candidates Tournament he did. Maybe this inspired Alexei Kuzmin. Castling short and c5, and Sweetler drew relatively easily. Last not least, Christian Szabo, a young Hungarian grandmaster and a new author for the surveys, looks at a very sharp variation of the Sicilian dragon. Okay. This is the starting position of the dragon, but of course the theory goes much deeper. Here comes another important branch. White has, of course, the 2 main moves, castling long or bishop c4. But g4 is also played quite often nowadays and has always been, in a way, the 3rd main line. Yeah, the dragon is really theoretically very deep. Black has options here, but the main move is queen c8. And yeah, we are still following a well-trodden path. And we will reach the moment where Szabo comes weighs in. Okay, here the main move is taking back. But Szabo thinks that Smiley's novelty is very interesting. That she made a mistake later. Okay, so far so good. We now have reached an endgame, even in my theme of my articles. Yeah, and here rook f8 was a mistake, because after rook c4, black cannot deal with white's activity in the resulting rook and knight endgame, where already a light initiative often weighs heavily, and so black must play rook c8 first to stop this activation of white. And Szabo thinks that black has can play this position. So this is very interesting, and we can await further developments in this sharp line of the Sicilian dragon. In the usual columns, I look at king marches and pawn breakthroughs in the endgame section. Oliver Ray looks at intermediate checks and giant knights in his tactics column. And he has also made one video in the new interactive video format. Intermediate check and interactive video format. Yeah, and please do this, and do not just listen to Oliver's explanations, also solve the exercises yourself. Trading tactics in a way means solving tactical exercises. And Daniel King looks in his move-by-move column, which is exclusively in the new interactive video format, at the game Elyanov Barish Polets, which was a model game from White's point of view in the King's Indian defense. And really use this new format where you can get feedback also to wrong moves, and so that you can start thinking anew. Last not least, the opening trap by Rainer Knag, as usual in the traditional and in the video format. It arises in the French defense, advanced variation, and black will set the trap soon. Okay, this is one of the main positions, of course, of the French advanced variation, this could also arise by other move orders. And now, yeah, black has made only normal moves, and away now has set the trap. Why is knight c3 a mistake? Solve it yourself, and then you can later see Rainer Knag's solution in a video or traditional format on the DVD. And now I wish you a lot of fun with ChessBase Magazine 155.